Hi, my name is Anna, and I will be sharing a story that was significant for my learning growing up. I was born in a state in Mexico called Michoacan. You will soon enough see it in the map. Um, I only lived there for about 5 years, and then we migrated to the US, and we ended up living in the state of Washington, specifically Tukwila, Washington, around Des Moines, and then soon enough we moved to Federal Way. I want to connect my location to Figured Worlds first because when I first moved to America, I had an idea of what it could maybe look like and just education in general. I thought I had an idea of what it would look like, and or at least what I hope it would look like, where everyone gets along, everyone understands that we all come from different places around the world, and we can actually accept one another and learn. That is what I hoped. But soon enough, I had to realize that there is factors such as identity contingency, stereotype threat, underperformance, and that's from the stress of being labeled um, as something by society, whether it's because of your race, your gender, etc. My location was Federal Way. I went to Federal Way High School. I went there all 4 years, and I was lucky enough to go there because it is the third most diverse high school in the entire nation. Um, the amount of diversity that there's is in that school was just amazing. But while I was there, um, I do have to take in consideration that I had some factors playing against me. Um, Contingencies is things that I would have to go through because of my gender, because I was Latina, because I was undocumented. I couldn't apply to certain things. I couldn't have certain opportunities because of those things. But also, stereotype threat is the idea that because I am labeled as certain things, I'm bad at math. I will do poor in STEM. Um, I will only graduate high school, etc. And it was so significant for me because um, though some of these factors played a big role while I was growing up, I um, I was aware of them. And I think that's definitely the most important part for my learning. But along with that, I was also going through what we know as community of practice and learning on the move. We did do an exercise here at UW where you really have to map and navigate the environment and the surroundings that you're in. Um, and for us, it was here in Seattle, from one building to another, from learning of the history, the protest, why these statues are there. We went and we physically moved around, and that was the same thing for Federal Way. Federal Way, at times, of course, um, we were stuck in this idea that um, we had to only learn from sitting down, from um, having someone tell us. But in reality, Federal Way really embraced who you were. That I was Mexican, I was female, I was an athlete, I was undocumented, I was a first generation student, I was low income, but this was so embraced that we held assemblies where we took hours and hours to actually see other people perform dances from their countries, music from their countries, presentations, and it was a huge assembly. It was actually called Celebrate Yourself Assembly, and it was it was through that I really learned what learning was. And um, and even now as an adult, and I know the terms of these things, maybe back then I wasn't entirely sure that my high school was different because they also made us get up and move and learn other people's culture and identity. And we did learn because soon enough I knew what the haka was. I knew um, certain like bamboo dances from Thailand, etc. So I might have not necessarily known the the concepts back then, but I knew that I was giving these opportunities that just seemed so different than like other public schools and other regions, other cities, or even other parts of our own city where diversity just wasn't. It just wasn't there, and um, and I was fully aware that I was different, but I I fought so hard to not make those stereotypes true, and learning to me is taking into consideration that other individuals are fighting different concepts and they're fighting different components that are really holding them back, whether it's performance or what they choose as a career, etc. And if it wasn't for Federal Way and how diverse it was and how they really encouraged knowledge of other identities and culture, I truly feel like I wouldn't be so confident in embracing myself and also understanding that other people also have certain things that do factor in their life and so on.